Hi guys, Samuel here, and I am going to teach you guys how to play the bass guitar. Number one, the video is not intended for advanced musicians, but if you are an advanced musician, a bass guitar player, please leave a comment down below and help someone learn also from it could be you or your channel. So your input would be highly appreciated. So this video is intended for people that are still beginners. If you are a new musician, you just want to learn how to play the bass guitar, this video is for you. And the first thing that I want you to know when it comes to playing any musical instrument is being able to have access to a music instrument. For example, if you are going to learn how to play the bass, I would recommend that you buy yourself a bass or you borrow one or you just get yourself a music instrument somewhere. And the reason for that is very simple. When you learn how to play a musical instrument, you need to be able to practice, and I mean a lot of practice. It takes hard work. When you see these musicians out here playing and they are on stage looking cool and they're doing their own thing and they're making it look easy, it's not. It takes a lot of work for you to learn and play. If you can put in the hours and focus and be dedicated to whatever you do, you can actually uh, go move from being a beginner into the more advanced stage. And if you are able to go to a music school, that would be great, but that doesn't really determine whether you are a good musician or not. There's musicians that did not go and get a diploma in music, but they are doing extraordinary things. I mean, wow. So the first thing you need to know is get yourself a music instrument where you can be able to put in hours of practice. And the reason for that is playing a musical instrument is similar to exercise or whatever else you do, like your mathematics, because you need to practice. Whatever you practice, you will become good at. So the first thing you need to do is get yourself an instrument for you to be able to practice. And the second thing, once you are able to get yourself an instrument, whether you buy it or borrow it, a bass guitar can be very expensive. You can get your Yamahas, you can get different brands. They can be very expensive. Or you can do something similar to what I do, because in learning the bass guitar, I couldn't afford an expensive one, but I got myself a mid-range, not poor quality, but uh, inexpensive, meaning it's very cheap. It's a Sanchez. It's a very cheap bass guitar. It's affordable. You can actually get one for yourself. Just invest in one, and it will make your life very easy. So I got myself the same chance for practice. Now, that's the first thing. Get yourself the music instrument. Now, the second thing, once you get yourself an instrument, you need to learn the basics. And these might sound ridiculous, but these are very important. Number one, you need to learn how to hold your bass. For you to practice, if you do not have your if you do not know how to hold your bass guitar, it will be very difficult for you to even try and play. First thing, when you sit down with your bass, um, you can actually put it on your lap like that. If you have a strap, put on your strap and make sure it's comfortable. Don't put it too tight or too loose. Just make sure it's nice and comfortable. And you use your hands differently on the bass. Each hand has its own function. I am a right-handed musician, so when I sit down, my right hand anchors the bass. And what do I mean by that? That means I put the weight of the arm on top of the bass like that. And what that does, it restricts movement. For example, I can let go of the bass and the bass would still not move around or anything. But once I remove this arm, as you can see, there's like a lot of movement. So what you need to do, anchor your arm on the base and let this one be as loose or free without restriction to movement, because you will have to move around on the fretboard when you're learning and doing your scales. You need the movement. You cannot balance the weight of the bass using this arm. So that's the first thing. You need to know how to hold your bass. Make sure you're comfortable and make sure that you do not restrict the movement on this arm. You sit down, you place your bass guitar on your lap, and you anchor using this one. And what I would recommend is your thumb needs also to be anchored for you to be able to play. I know musicians have different ways of doing things, but I found this is what made things easy for me was anchoring my thumb. Now you can anchor your thumb by putting your thumb on one of the pickups like that, or on top of one of the strings. In that way, your your hand doesn't move around that much. So depending on what you're doing on the bass, you need to anchor the hand itself on the bass. And the best way to do that is putting your thumb on the pickup like that, and you can actually move up and down on the strings without moving the hand. So that is something that will be helpful to you. So that's that. So you need to learn how to hold your bass, make sure you're comfortable, anchor the arm, anchor this the thumb on the pickup, and this is where the magic will happen on your left hand. If you are left-handed, probably would be the opposite, and so on. So this side is where you get your notes. Let me try and get the sound here. So this side of the arm, this is where you produce the sound. Now, what happens with the bass guitar? Very simple. The the right hand causes the vibrations. When you hit one of the string or pull on it or just strum,